Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. So great to be with you today. Today we have Vanessa Belmonte as well as Curtis Michelson, who's going to be speaking about EXO for Unity and perhaps a little bit more. And you can see the great lineup of people we have all the way until the end of the year. So as you know, every OpenExO Live, I always start with a few messages from our community about the folks that I am going to be speaking with. And so today, because we have two people on the call, it is going to be a little bit longer because so many people had great things to say about both Vanessa and Curtis, as well as the EXO for Unity project. So we're going to start off with this one from Karina, and she just said, I'm really grateful that I'm part of this community, mind and heart. Vanessa and Curtis really nailed it. They found a niche inside the OpenExO ecosystem to bring people together as they really are, listening from their hearts, accepting diversity, and building with care, love, and acceptance a better place for all. Next up, we have from Salim. He just said, Vanessa has more gumption and enthusiasm than 20 normal people put together. It is great to see her putting that to good use within and beyond the OpenExO community. Next, we have from Maya Zuckerman. She just said, EXO for Unity is the missing link between the tech side of EXO and bridging to the MTP of what this community can achieve. Vanessa and Curtis have been leading calls that support the purpose side of EXO. Next up, we have from Fabian. He just said about EXO for Unity, I've only had the opportunity to attend a few Unity sessions, but I can tell you this group is amazing. You can feel a connection between the group that is not only about shared values, but about purpose and contribution. It is a safe space to learn from amazing people, share what's on your mind and heart, and I really appreciate this group. And then about Curtis, he just said, Curtis is awesome. I do not know a more passionate individual about innovation, agility, and growth. During the last couple of years, he has challenged me, changed my point of view of different things, shared amazing tools, and has pushed me to become better. He is one of the dearest friends I've met because of the OpenExO community. And I had to cut out a little bit about the coyotes, but maybe Curtis can speak about that. It didn't fit on the slide. And next up, we just have from Gerardo. Vanessa and Curtis are two great and inspiring people. They are engaged with the community for diversity, equity, justice, and unity. EXO for Unity is a fresh container for thriving collaborations, perspectives, and ideas. Eric said, Ben Clayton approached the EXO community suggesting we access our collective wisdom to address social justice issues. Not only did Vanessa and Curtis full-heartedly embrace the idea, they sprang into action to create an uplifting space to share, discuss, provide insights, and actively support heart and mind meld projects for a united and just world. Hence, EXO for Unity was born. Join us. And unfortunately, I couldn't share Ben's comments. They came in a little bit late, but Ben also shared those, and Vanessa and Curtis, I'll share those with you privately. And lastly, we have from Lars, and he just said about each of you, in my work in the founding team of EXO Works and later in OpenExO core team, I had the privilege of working closely with Vanessa and seeing her transition from mastering our marketing, our events and operations to also master the mindset of abundance and launch her very own impressive EXO initiatives. And about Curtis, he just said, Curtis had me at hello when we first met around our shared passion for creating a better future of education. Every conversation with him leaves you with new knowledge, inspiration, and a belief that you can actually turn your plans into reality. Or usually you leave with a much better plan after being coached with his positive energy rich style. So a large number of things that the community have said. I'm going to bring Curtis and Vanessa on screen now. Curtis and Vanessa, welcome to OpenExO Live. As you catch your breath, as you think about those things, I want to remind people who are watching, you can make comments and ask questions in the comment, wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, if you're on LinkedIn, or if you are on Facebook, you can make comments. We will see those. We will share those. We will answer your questions. Hi, Gerardo. I see he said hi from LinkedIn. So Vanessa and Curtis, just to start off, we always just start off with giving a bit of background about each of you. Perhaps we'll start with you, Vanessa, and how you came into the OpenExO community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us here, Kevin and OpenExO team. It's so great. And those comments in the beginning, oh, they were beautiful. Thank you all. So yeah, backstory is very interesting. I love sharing this. So I actually started about 5 years ago now working with Lily and Salim Ismail, the author of Exponential Organizations, obviously one of the co-founders of OpenExO. I started working as their EA and booking agent for Salim's intense schedule of speaking engagements all over the world, and navigated through the operations side of things, launching EXO Speakers as a speaking agency, and then transitioning into EXO Works, which became the consulting agency to implement the EXO framework at large corporations. So I went from operations to marketing and events, and then in 2019 focused on community management with Kevin here for a while, building the community from probably 4,000 people came on board during that time we were working together. So I've kind of been through various branches of EXO and working with different entities under the EXO umbrella, and it's been so fantastic.
Awesome, Vanessa. And Curtis, yourself?
Well, I'm a relative newcomer compared to Vanessa, but my entry point into OpenExO was through Vanessa in Miami. We're both sort of Florida-based. She's South Florida. I'm holding down Central Florida here in Orlando. I was at an innovation conference in Miami called Innovators, and there was Vanessa and Corina Almagro and Mike Lingle, and they had me from MTP. I said, oh, I do a lot of innovation. I do a lot of design work, but I hadn't heard this flavor yet. And so grabbed me. I joined the OpenExO community. I think it was February of last year, and I haven't looked back. Sprint coach, etc., ambassador, and I'm just delighted to be here.
Awesome. That's so great. And so to everyone watching, great to see you two LATAM pilots on YouTube. Great to see you. So the two of you, obviously, in the OpenExO community, there's a lot going on. There's people who have a lot of interests that are different, from education through to circular economy, etc. And as Eric said in his statement, there was a call out that said, what are we actually doing around unity? And the two of you sort of jumped on that, and you came up with EXO for Unity. So can you tell those who are watching who have never heard of it, what it actually is all about?
Go for it, V.
Absolutely, happy to. So yeah, Eric really summed it up so well. Ben Clayton, another member of the EXO community, he's based out of Quebec, Montreal, posted right around George Floyd, right around the murder of George Floyd, and all of the riots and everything that was happening, the upheaval that was happening here, especially in America. He said, you know what, this is happening in the world. What can we do? What's EXO doing? Are we going to talk about it? Are we going to address it? We need to show up in a sense, or just hold space for this conversation. So that's exactly what happened. Just a subset. I think it started around 12, 15 people of the EXO, of the 6,000 plus members, came together and said, let's just come together every Friday and talk about it. And we ended up incorporating kind of this feel-good moment, the opportunity to just kind of let our guard down, share, more importantly, listen. And that's kind of how it evolved into the weekly heart and mind melds, as we dubbed them, into weekly just feel good moments on calls. And if you want to share the screen, you can get a little bit of we created a landing page, and we've captured
all Vanessa. This is all Vanessa.
We've captured some of the incredible guests, because we said, you know what, it's really about hearing other people's stories. Like, we have so much awesome ingenuity and forward thinking within the community, the EXO community. But what about the initiatives and the social impact that's happening outside of this community. You know, maybe we can talk to them about some of the technologies that we can have, or just listen to what they need. And so that's kind of how these Friday calls were born. We invited some incredible people along for the road. So let me share. Curtis, if you want to elaborate, I'll share here on the screen. Here's some of the previous guests and topics that we've had.
And you notice they're not all amongst our 6,500, right? Part of the intention here is to bring new people to the community, and bridge out. But of course, some familiar names too,
So we've had, since June, this team formed around June, just early June 2020, as we said, just at the peak of, what was happening around George Floyd and the protests. And so since then, we've had 18 heart and mind melds, more than 18 guests. And you can see just from things from meditation to art to just regenerative practices, to the abundance of libraries and what they can provide for information for people. So it's been a really interesting evolution. We were first at like, okay, what are we gonna do? We had this kind of thinking cap on, like we typically do. A lot of us are coaches and consultants. We want to problem solve and provide value, but we're like, hey, sometimes you just have to sit back and listen. Let's take those thinking caps off and open our hearts a little bit, right? And say, how can we just listen and show up and hold a beautiful container for us all to just sit back and reflect together and potentially grow from it. So that's kind of how the concept of heart and mind came about, to just bridge that gap a little bit.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really amazing. First of all, I want to say this landing page, how do people find it? Where can they find it so that they can join, they can share it out with others that they feel will really resonate with this?
Absolutely. It's bit.ly/UnityEXO. And if we can pop that into the comments somehow, some way. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I'll give a quick visual here, but here's what it looks like. Gives a little bit of who we are, what we do, what we've done. We also released the OpenExO statement on Black Lives Matter back in June as well. So you can click here and read that as well.
Awesome. Yes, Curtis.
I was just going to say, we have an MTP. Maybe that's where you were going.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going. I was going to say, can you share your MTP and tell us a bit about it?
Yeah. So this kind of emerged, I guess, halfway through this journey that Vanessa was just sharing. We say we're part of the opening, the further flowering and blossoming of the OpenExO community. So we opening the OpenExO community. And I think as Vanessa just said, there are some gaps. And we have a beautiful model, right? We lead with the MTP. What I fell in love with in Miami 2 years ago was the 11 EXO attributes and that notion of tapping into abundance. But I feel like one of the things we're doing, and this is emerging, is we're addressing some of the ones that maybe we haven't paid enough attention to. And especially within our own community, within OpenExO. And so the community itself, engagement, autonomy, social, those elements, and frankly, kind of addressing what if we don't have enough representation within our community, right? Whether that means class, race, age, right, and gender. We like to say we keep the gloves off on these conversations, and anybody on the call or listening in who's been part of these knows we're pretty frank. We know we can be blunt, but we're coming at that with love because we love this community and we want to close those gaps and make it better. So I think that's what's been really juicy about the conversation. So we could dive right in there to these gaps.
Absolutely, and go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was going to say, oh dear, we have a little bit of a delay happening here. Sorry, Vanessa, you please go right ahead.
Absolutely. So we just, 2020 is definitely a time, I think, when all of us are taking a little bit of a step back. We're saying, wow, how did we get here? It's so many things have changed so abruptly, and between the social injustice, the political mess, the climate crisis, things are out of balance. it feels very out of balance in our world. And this year was just like the impetus for that. And so, reflecting on that, especially in this group, or if we reflect on that a lot, there's been such an emphasis and value placed around somewhat masculine traits, very masculine traits, in our society, being goal-directed, independence, linear thinking. What about balancing it out? What about some of those feminine traits like compassion, collaboration, more relationship-directed focus, and interdependence? So this group is bringing those conversations into this digital transformation domain that we're in. It's definitely about being active and hitting those exponential goals and getting that EXO curve for your profits. But what about collaboration? What about the solidarity? What about those conversations, and how we're all going to be there for each other in the next 5, 10, 20 years while we're enduring these messes, essentially. So this is really about rebalancing the narrative. We have to start somewhere. Let's start within this community. This community of 6,000 and growing is kind of missing that narrative, we've noticed. So let's bring it here. Let's start it here. Let's spark it with that, at least this sub team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I love about this is that we all agree that being an exponential organization and thinking with exponential thinking and abundance thinking and all of that is so important. But what's so important is the human aspect of that, and not losing that. And this is what you folks are really focusing on. Of course, we currently are rewriting version 2 of exponential organizations, right? And so the question to ask is, where does this fit in there? And not as a chapter. I think this fits in every single chapter, because it needs to be part of everything. So that's really amazing. I want to say thanks to Shay for sharing the link in YouTube where we in LinkedIn where we're streaming from. Unfortunately, the comments don't go back to LinkedIn, so thanks for sharing it there. Really appreciate it. And then Jamie has asked here, I would like to speak about the bridge between US, UK, EU. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I know that your groups and our community is completely global, right? And I think everything there is completely global. So perhaps you might say, well, what are the links beyond those? But do you have any comments on Jamie's question there, or comments?
Well, for my part, I'm just so, as you hit on, I'm so impressed with how global we are in this community. So I wasn't aware of that particular gap, the US, UK, EU. We've been focusing, Jamie, more honestly on those other gaps. Even when we talk about, I think we get pretty high on exponential technologies in this community for good reason, right? It's what unlocks abundance, but we can get a little too excited about them. And at the end of the day, it's about a transformative business model. So one of the things that we want to keep coming back to is, what is the new ethical business model? What are the new grounded business models? Right now, those exponential organizations that we wrote about in the first version of the book, Kevin, the Facebooks, they're not looking too good right now, right? Those executives are appearing before the US Congress, and they're in the hot seat, and for some good reasons. So there's something else in addition to scaling, bringing the relative cost of acquiring a new customer to near zero, the relative cost of acquiring new supply to near zero, and then scaling the hell out of it is one thing. But doing it with great purpose and intention to the benefit of all is another. And I think that's what we're all very interested in. And the other thing that Vanessa hit on, and you just said it too, is people. Every time I work with a client and we do something that really aims for disruption, the obstacles and the roadblocks, right? Where do we get the immune system reaction? It's from people, right? The computers don't talk back to us. They'll do anything you want. The reactions come from people. And so what we're unlocking is the willingness to try, willingness to fail. And we live it on these calls. You can see we do some very public fails. We had one, you remember, Vanessa, Maya talked about a public fail, and it was one of my fails too. And I had to own up and say, yeah, I hurt one of our own EXO for Unity members, and I need to own it. It was my mistake. It's that kind of thing that we all need to sort of socialize and bring to the leadership that we work with, that are going on the EXO journey, right?
Absolutely. And so through the heart and mind melds and what you're seeing, what are you seeing some people and companies, enterprises, governments, or anything really doing to work on the solidarity, unity, and really igniting social justice, not painting a BLM sticker at the top of their web page, right? What are you actually seeing people really saying, you know what, we can create this world that is better, and this is what we're doing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So that's exactly, and exposing even some of the community members to different types of organizations and different types of healing that can happen, or opportunities that can happen beyond what they already know. So for example, we had Athena from Artists Making Changes come in, and she essentially uses art, healing through art. And she fosters creativity, intellectual development to children who are exposed to adverse experiences. So what she does is she does some really kind of non-traditional fundraising through different mediums like art shows and collaborations in New York to bring together a whole container of art supplies to Haiti or Dominican Republic or Cuba, where they don't even have art stores, and does like about a 2-month program in certain neighborhoods and certain regions of those countries to essentially bring therapists, educators, and the local artists together to help these children process their childhood trauma through artwork, something that she realized was missing in the USA. Establishing that trust with the community, supporting them through difficult relationships and conversations through art. So it's kind of stepping back a little bit and saying, what are some different processes, different ways that we can process some of the difficult times that we're going through? How can we change these narratives in ways that go beyond just presentations and methodologies and books, beyond what we have, what we're privileged with, and sometimes in this nation, let's think outside those boxes, and then maybe hopefully give advice or support or consulting to someone like Athena to help maximize those opportunities with technology or with some of the things that we're working on.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the neat things. It's a two-way thing. We're learning from them, and they're getting kind of hip to exponential organizations and thinking too. I think we're probably a little bit more time, but could we plug next week's, or actually tomorrow, this week's presenter? Because I think it maybe caps beautifully everything we're talking about. Her name is Sonja Klopčić. She's from Slovenia. And she's going squarely into that leadership space, that exponential leadership space. She's written 2 books. I happen to have them right here. The first one was called The Energy Inside Leadership. And her second book, which she'll be talking about in particular, and we'll be engaging with her on, so let me get this. It's called The AEIOU of Leadership. And this is so aligned with our model, with the EXO Canvas, and it adds those extra dimensions that we were talking about. So if I just click off what those 5 letters refer to, you've already said them all, Vanessa, on this call. Aroha. Basically, Sonja researched world communities and wisdom traditions. So she went to New Zealand, and the Maori have a word called aroha. It means, founding anything, starting anything with love and care. You lead with love and care. It's really a feminine leadership style. Ebb comes from the Mayan people in Central America, and it's interconnectedness, networks. We call them ecosystems today, but really it's about regenerative platforms, right? The very activity of the model increases the value for everyone. So Ebb. Ikigai, some of us have heard of Ikigai. She pulled that from Japan, so that's the third leg of that. Oikos from Greece, from Europe. It means literally economy. But we say abundance, right? It means care for all as a baseline. All these models should be about unlocking abundance for all. So like universal basic income, those ideas. And the last one, Ubuntu from Africa. Kevin, you're from Africa. Relations that are based on trust. What does Jerry Michalski and folks like that talk about? That's the new major lever for next gen organizations, is unlocking trust. So those elements right there, AEIOU, that's what we're talking about tomorrow. So if you want to join us for the Heart and Mind Meld tomorrow with Sonja, that's what we're into.
Perfect, Curtis. Obviously, people, if they go to that landing page, they'll be able to find what's happening. So it's in the comments on all the platforms. I think we could chat here forever for another couple hours. I know that both of you also need to go, and I mean it's really been wonderful. I mean the people aspect of EXO is so important. We've seen many EXOs out there have a lot of issues within the organization because they are growing so fast, etc. and it's something that we do need to look at centrally to ensure that it's being looked after. So, you know, a massive thank you to the two of you. If there's anything you want to just share as I say goodbye.
Close us out, V.
Just want to say thank you again, and I really encourage everyone to join at least one heart and mind meld and see what it unlocks for you. So thank you so much again, and looking forward to future calls.
Yeah, it's been great chatting to you guys. We'll see you in the community for sure, and hopefully in person sometime soon. But wonderful chatting to you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Vanessa and Curtis from EXO for Unity. I highly recommend you go to the link that is in the comment section where they share more about that, and join them tomorrow, because it really is an amazing time that you have with them. I'm going to end out today's call with a little bit of an ad about the OpenExO consultant certification. So thank you very much for joining today, and we'll see you again next week.
Do you want to play an active role in the largest business transformation in history? Hi, my name is Jaroslav, and I'm the Chief Learning Officer at OpenExO, a global community of consultants, coaches, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders helping organizations all around the world to benefit from the disruptive changes happening in their industries. I'm responsible for the design and delivery of a suite of training and certification programs that train over 1,000 forward-looking business leaders and consultants every year. Our programs help you to understand and apply the hidden recipe behind some of the most innovative and most successful organizations that exist in the market today. I want to invite you to an introductory webinar about the EXO Consultant Certification Program. This program has been designed to teach the inner workings of exponential organizations and to give you an opportunity to apply the EXO model in real-life assignments. During the webinar, you will learn more about the content and structure of the certification, as well as hear from past participants about the value they received out of the program. The future of business will be led by exponential organizations. We can already see this by the number of unicorn companies disrupting almost every industry, as well as by the thousands of existing organizations applying the EXO model every day. Businesses all around the world are looking to you to assist them in navigating the largest transformation of business to date. Join our webinar to unlock exponential growth opportunities for yourself and for your clients. I look forward to seeing you there.